Hello, my good friends. Welcome back to another video about Jordan Peterson. Now, I'm sure everybody has seen the clips that I'm about to show from the Joe Rogan interview. It was about 4 hours long, I think. JP wore a tuxedo for some reason. It's all bizarre and wonderful, I have to say. It's great because it shows the cracks in the veneer of respectability and of intellectualism that JP has thus far maintained. However, as we go through this clip today, I really want you to recognize what this means for his broader agenda, I will say, of being, the top public intellectual in the world or whatever. What a fall from grace for that. It went from Christopher Hitchens, I think Gore Vidal in the 90s, Noam Chomsky, I'm sure, was up there at one point, and now it's Jordan Peterson, who either doesn't understand what he's talking about or is purposefully lying. And we're going to get into which one I think it is.
The climate change one is a weird one. So
that's because there's no such thing as climate, right? Climate and everything are the same word. And that's what bothers me about the climate change types. It's like, this is something that bothers me about it technically. It's like, climate is about everything. So, okay. But your models aren't based on everything. Your models are based on a set number of variables.
Yeah.
So that means you've reduced the variables, which are everything, to that set. Well, how did you decide which set of variables to include in the equation if it's about everything? And that's not just a criticism. That's like, if it's about everything, your models aren't right. Because your models do not and cannot model everything.
So there we have it. That's the classic clip that, people from all over, climate scientists, normal people with a brain, have been responding to and criticizing. I want to take a step back and look at what Jordan Peterson is doing here, because a lot of the Jordan Peterson bros have been fawning over this and looking at it in a sense of, he's so clever, he's so smart. Although, let's be real, this is exactly the kind of take you would expect from your stoner friend, at a party, and they're just like, man, how can we even know anything? People talk about life. What is life? How can scientists study anything? How can you even say anything? What is language, man? This is just sounds. Okay, so we've been there. But what a lot of the pushback I've seen is from people that are defending Jordan Peterson is that he is posing an epistemological question here, and that is not the case. So first, let's have a look at what epistemology is, because it's a very interesting road to go down. I'm more interested in ontology and its links to ideology, but epistemology is also interesting. So epistemology, the philosophical study of the nature, origin, and limits of human knowledge. The term is derived from the Greek episteme, knowledge, and logos, reason. And accordingly, the field is sometimes referred to as the theory of knowledge. Epistemology has a long history within Western philosophy, beginning with the ancient Greeks and continuing to the present. Along with metaphysics, logics, and ethics, it is one of the four main branches of philosophy, and nearly every great philosopher has contributed to it. So there we have, essentially, how can we understand knowledge? And the JP bros have been pointing to this little thing here where he says, well, what even is the climate, man? As an epistemological question. And it isn't. Because it's actually very, very simple. Scientists, when they're doing these studies, are evaluating things. And as I teach 13-year-olds, when you evaluate something, you make a judgment based on criteria. Okay, you're making that judgment at the end based on a criteria. And so clearly you have to select criteria. What Jordan Peterson is saying is he wouldn't know what criteria could even belong in there. And he says something like, what really worries me, or, his language like that. If it worries you, go and look into it. Read one study or read a meta-analysis. That would be far better. And look at what criteria they're using, because just here, he's sitting back and he's, hand behind his head and he's going, Yeah, I don't even think you could do that. But there is an entire field that is dedicated to this. Why has he not gone and looked at it? One, he has a gigantic platform. And so he has a responsibility, before he just spouts off, he has a responsibility to use that platform in a not negligent manner. And he hasn't done that. Two, Joe Rogan has a big platform. And Jordan Peterson went on there. Again, he had a responsibility not to just shoot from the hip. If he's going to talk about this stuff, he needs to be well-versed in it. Or not even well-versed, just go and have a quick Google. I mean, much like the debate with Slavoj Žižek, which was about communism versus capitalism. And the night before, Jordan Peterson read the Communist Manifesto, a political pamphlet put out by Marx before his actual analysis of capitalism that built the framework for Marxist analysis. This is the kind of, so this is why I mention this. This is why I'm making this video, because this short segment proves that Jordan Peterson is a fraud. He is deeply incurious about reality. He would rather go out and just have, the very, and they're great, those kind of teenage discussions where, you might get a little bit high or a bit drunk. You're like, man, but what even is the world? He loves that. And he loves to have this thin and fake veneer of intellectualism when, at the end of the day, he is nothing but a charlatan. This is the first of a little segment that I'm going to do called the Kui Corner, where I'm giving shout-outs to other lefty creators down under that I like. Now, the first one, if you're a subscriber of mine, you would have seen me post a link to this video. It's from Blake Riley, or Aquilia. Head on over, subscribe, and watch the video, Children Will Bring Back Toilet Paper. It is a rundown of a bunch of stuff that's happening now with a lefty take. I want everybody to go over there, subscribe, and in the comments, drop a Kui. I want to take this chance to thank my wonderful patrons. In Puppy Preschool, we have Extremely Online Left and Ben Snow. My guard doggo is Jordan Mark. And to A. Zeitlo, Dangwin, and Jackson Orville, you are very good boys. If you're interested in supporting me, head on over. I'm about to release 3 new tiers that have merch, as well as a patron-only podcast that will be for all tiers. You can give me $1 a month and get access to that weekly podcast. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a great day.